I guess maybe to kind of demonstrate Jackie's question about keeping a horse so they're not elevating. If you've done all your dry work and they're doing it in dry work, then it may be, I would probably go to a tie down to just kind of reinforce that. I know with Phoebe, she had to always have a loose tie down because you know, sometimes when I touch her face, she would kind of lift her nose, and that loose tie down was just a little bit of a reminder to her to keep her head down and keep that forward motion.
Yep. Lisa Busby asked, can you tell me what bit is good to start my young horse in after an O-ring snaffle?
I mean, probably my go-to would be a reverse gag. It would depend on if the horse was, well, this Bixby is pretty bendy, and so this is that Jordan Briggs no-hit bit with a Mullen mouth, because she's pretty bendy, and she'll also kind of want to get a little bit over tucked. So I put something on her that's going to kind of keep her up and a little more elevated. But probably from a ring bit, my next go-to would either be like a little short shank Ed Wright or a reverse gag bit. And the mouthpiece would depend on whether the horse was bendy or stiff. If they wanted to be a little more naturally stiff, I'd go with the chain. If they were a little more bendy, then I'd probably go with just a regular twisted wire. Lisa Busby had asked what bit you would transition a colt to from an O-ring.
And she said a reverse gag, maybe with any particular mouthpiece. You like the twisted wire better?
It depends on the horse. She's asking what mouthpiece. It depends on the horse. If they need more bend, then a chain. If they need less bend, then a snaffle. A twisted wire, just the regular twisted wire. If the more breaks a mouthpiece has, the more bend you're going to get. If they're a little bit sensitive at the corners, then I have one that's twisted on the sides and a chain in the middle, or you can get it with a smooth that's a chain in the middle.
Okay, we're going to get Jennifer maybe to trot Bigsby a little bit through the pattern. She's never been to this arena before, and so just to kind of get her, on the pattern, looking for the barrels instead of all the other distractions that could happen here.
This is I'm a little slow when it comes to training, so I probably will have my horses from broke to barrels 6 months into them before I start asking for any kind of speed on the pattern. We're just now kind of starting to think about hauling these 3-year-olds or 4-year-olds that are going to be next year futurity prospects. And so sometimes even before we go and do the exhibitions, we'll try to bring them to some indoor arenas when there's nothing going on, just to kind of get them exposed to the different sights and sounds and stuff that are here. And sometimes just being undercover is a little bit intimidating for horses when they've only ever been ridden like outside or out in the pasture. Sometimes just coming under a cover and being ridden is a totally different feeling. And so we'll try to come and to arenas like this when there's nothing going on and do a little work with them so that they don't get too stressed about the process of just going to, where showing up and your name being called. And even if it's an exhibition, you just have a little bit of an expectation of what's going to happen. And so just to have kind of that exposure of them coming to an indoor arena and having that experience before you have to go, you want to go do
we usually come here, there's
exhibition.
Standing over there behind that second barrel. So if that second barrel is really close to that fence, these young ones, they're going to look at those other horses.
So I'm just going to go through and show y'all what a typical work session for me would look like with my horses.
Yep, if we could just come here and work. Jennifer can, this is how she would just go about kind of getting her horses. There's no zoom. You can't zoom when you're live, so we have to kind of see it from a distance. But it will be taped and it'll be on YouTube, and Murray can zoom. So she'll warm up for a minute, and then I don't know if you can see this. This is the gate to this arena while she warms up. And so this is how you come in and out. And so there's not a really alleyway. And this arena is so big. That gate is so wide. You can come in this arena any way, pointed any direction that you want to because of that gate. And so really pay attention to her line to the first barrel, because even when you're practicing, you know, if today 5 times 5 is 25, but tomorrow you're going to have to ask me because 5 times 5 might be 24. It just kind of depends on my mood. So today I might come in this gate one way. Tomorrow, some friends done give me some big advice and I'm going to just come in another way. I'm just going to do something different. And so then the 5 times 5, the consistency of you knowing that is just not there, because you're different every day. You're asking different, you're talking to your horse different, the language is different, the positioning is different. And so what is this all about? What is this? What am I really training? I'm training him to put his feet in the most proper place for the movement that I want around that barrel. Those feet are contacted to the earth. And so that ability to have confidence, how are those feet hitting? Are they hitting the same each and every time? That just gets to be so important that yep, I've got to go down the steps here and go in the gate. Here's the little concession stand, entry thing. There's a little gate here. Murray's got a zoom, but we don't have a zoom on this, so getting out here, I'll get situated here. And when you have this much room, it's so easy to get lost. Horses and inexperienced riders can get lost in all of this. You see what a glare? So running out for some of these young ones, running back into that glare, that could possibly be a problem. See, big and round, just like the 6-barrel thing was big and round and fluid. You know, I'd like to see go all the way to that hip is beside the barrel, and maybe even a little past it, because the turn is behind the barrel. You go past the barrel, the rider does, and then you turn the barrel. You go past it, and then you turn it. Bixby didn't get a big warm-up time, so she's a little fresh till she gets some loping down. She's not ever bad, but you can always tell when she feels good. She had kind of a long, nice vacation. Jennifer got her to the point last fall where we were either going to have to just quit and let her rest or bring her on, and then we would have been too early for these futurities. She would have peaked at the wrong time. And so now we let her rest because she just got all this talent and just so willing to give it to you. And we didn't really need her to be making her best runs, you know, as a young 3-year-old. We need her making her best runs. Really, it might be next year, on up into those futurities, before we can really say we want her to make her best runs. Let's find out when the most money can be won, and that's when we want our best runs out of Bigsby and Bo, because they're both going to go this fall and next year. Bo will be 5 next year, and Bixby will be 4. So really, we hadn't worked Bixby too much since her layoff. So really, what you're seeing is kind of how she was finishing up last year, you know, as a really young 2-year-old. Now she's a really young 3-year-old.